Mary Kay Kit isn't usually one to stir the pot, but this time, she's not alone. When she praised Shedeur Sanders' elite accuracy and poise, she echoed a growing chorus of analysts, former players, and insiders who believe the Browns are benching a star in the making. The NFL match photos, the decision to prioritize Dillon Gabriel, despite glaring differences in performance, has baffled experts and become a lightning rod for criticism.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The logic doesn't hold, unless there's something deeper going on behind the scenes. What began as a personnel decision has exploded into a credibility crisis. Stefanski's judgment is under fire, and the disconnect between talent evaluation and coaching decisions is impossible to ignore. With pressure mounting from every corner of the football world, the Browns are being forced to answer a fundamental question. Are they building towards something real, or stuck defending decisions they can't justify? The Cleveland Browns aren't just fumbling a quarterback decision, they're fumbling a defining moment in their franchise's trajectory. What started as a question of who should start under center has unraveled into a full-blown power struggle that's now threatening the team's identity, chemistry, and leadership. At the center of it all, head coach Kevin Stefanski, rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders, and a very public, very pointed intervention by team owner Jimmy Haslam. Let's cut straight to the core. Kevin Stefanski has made it abundantly clear that Shedeur Sanders, despite being one of the most highly touted rookies the Browns have seen in years, is not part of his current plans. Not in a meaningful way. Not as a legitimate competitor for the starting job. Instead, he's been relegated behind veterans like Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel. Player Stefanski seems to favor not for performance, but for familiarity, comfort, and control. And then came the rumors. Whispers that Shedeur Sanders, the player with elite accuracy, high-level poise, and endorsement from respected insiders like Mary Kay Kit, might be on the trading block. That his talent was being pushed out, not because he wasn't ready, but because his very presence disrupted Stefanski's carefully constructed hierarchy. That's not development. That's sabotage. And Jimmy Haslam wasn't having it. Haslam didn't just step in quietly behind the scenes. He shut the rumors down immediately, publicly, unequivocally. He made it clear that Sanders is staying in Cleveland. Not only that, he emphasized that the decision wasn't rooted in marketing, media buzz, or PR optics. It was about talent, about building a real future, about not repeating the same mistakes this organization has made for decades. Haslam's move was a seismic shift in the Browns' internal power structure. Owners don't normally get involved like this unless something has gone seriously off the rails. And in this case, it had. Stefanski's refusal to even give Sanders meaningful reps had reached a boiling point, both inside and outside the organization. This wasn't about performance anymore. This was about pride, and it was costing the Browns everything. The criticism came fast and hard. Analysts, former players, fans. Everyone began questioning what exactly Stefanski was doing. Why was a coach, supposedly committed to winning, ignoring the quarterback with the highest ceiling? Why was he more loyal to a system than to the roster's actual talent? And more importantly, why was he willing to alienate his owner just to protect that system? Shows. They seeped into the locker room. Players began to pick sides. Some began quietly rallying around Sanders, frustrated by the stubbornness at the top. Others stayed silent, clearly unsure how to navigate a situation that was quickly becoming toxic. Because let's be real, this wasn't just about a quarterback competition. This was about a breakdown in trust. Trust in the coaching staff. Trust in leadership. Trust in the direction of the team. And once trust breaks, you can't coach your way around it. You can't scheme your way out of it. You either fix it, or it breaks you. The locker room started to fracture. Whispers among staff. Uncomfortable tension during practices. Some players privately started questioning why performance wasn't being rewarded. Why politics were playing a bigger role in roster decisions than on-field results. The locker room knows what the rest of us know. Shedeur Sanders has the goods. He's got the arm. He's got the timing. He's got the calm under pressure. The reports are consistent. Mary Kay Kit said it flat out. His adaptability and accuracy are elite, not promising. Elite, and still Stefanski kept him buried. That decision has now turned into a crisis. It's a crisis of leadership, a crisis of vision, and a crisis of identity for a team that has spent years trying to shed its reputation as a revolving door franchise where potential dies and dysfunction thrives. And now here we are again, watching a young, talented quarterback being ignored, not for lack of ability, but because he represents a challenge to the existing power structure. Stefanski's insistence on prioritizing his system over raw talent is doing more than just creating tension. It's threatening the very foundation of this team. When you lose the locker room, when you lose ownership, and when the fans turn on you, all that's left is a countdown. And make no mistake, Kevin Stefanski is on the clock. He's coaching with the owner breathing down his neck, with fans demanding answers, and with every mistake magnified by the decision to bench Shedeur Sanders. He's in the middle of a firestorm of his own making, and unless something changes fast, he may not survive it. Because even if the Browns start to win, the questions won't stop. Every snap that doesn't go to Sanders will be dissected. Every play that stalls will be seen as proof that the better quarterback is on the bench. And if losses start to pile up, Stefanski won't just be on the hot seat. He'll be out the door. The longer he waits, the worse it gets. And here's the thing. Sanders isn't pushing this drama. He's not lashing out. He's not forcing the issue. He's doing what every coach claims to want from their rookies. Staying focused, keeping his head down, and staying ready. But that patience won't last forever. And it shouldn't have to. Shedeur Sanders is more than a backup option. He's the kind of player you build around. The kind of player you develop with intention. The kind of player you don't waste because your coach is afraid of change. This should be the start of something great. Instead, it's become a cautionary tale. The Browns have a rare opportunity to reset their narrative, to show fans and the league that they've learned from the past, that they're finally ready to choose merit over ego. But that choice hasn't been made yet, and every day Sanders isn't on the field, that opportunity slips further away. This isn't debate anymore. It's a verdict waiting to happen. The Browns have to decide. Will they move forward with talent, with vision, and with leadership that isn't afraid to evolve? Or will they protect the same old politics that have led them nowhere? Because the path is clear. And Shedeur Sanders is ready. All that's left is for someone to get out of his way. If you've been watching this play out and shaking your head, hit that like button. If you believe Shedeur Sanders deserves a shot, leave a comment. And if you're just as fed up with watching teams self-destruct over ego and politics, go ahead and subscribe, because something tells us this isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning. And now, here we are. The Cleveland Browns have backed themselves into a corner so tight, even silence feels loud. This isn't just a quarterback controversy anymore. It's a referendum on everything the franchise claims to stand for. Development, winning, accountability. All of it is on trial. And the judge? Public opinion, fan trust, and one very furious owner named Jimmy Haslam. Let's not lose sight of how wild this all is. A sitting head coach, in the middle of a highly scrutinized season, actively tried to float his top rookie quarterback in trade rumors. A rookie who's been called NFL ready. A rookie backed not just by fans, but by seasoned analysts like Mary Kay Kitt, who's watched every failed Browns quarterback experiment in the past 2 decades and still said Sanders was different. But instead of being embraced and developed, Sanders was shut down. He was pushed aside, not for logical, football-based reasons, but because Kevin Stefanski didn't want to give up control, because Sanders represented a shift, a new era, and instead of leading it, Stefanski tried to bury it. And that's where he made his biggest mistake. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie with potential. He's the spark, the symbol, the chance Cleveland hasn't had since. When exactly? Every quarterback before him came with asterisks, raw talent, mechanical flaws, lacking poise, not ready. But with Shedeur, that's not the story. The story is why isn't he playing? And everyone's asking it. Not just fans, not just the local media, national analysts, former players, people who know football and aren't buying the he needs time line anymore. It's become obvious that Stefanski's decision-making isn't based on merit. It's political, it's personal, and now it's public. When you openly compare Sanders unfavorably to Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco, Two guys who've done nothing to prove they can carry this team long term. You're not evaluating performance. You're protecting your ego. And the locker room knows it. You can't fool players. They see who's balling out at practice. They see the throws, the reads, the body language. They see who the guys gravitate toward. And when a guy like Shedeur is constantly performing, staying locked in, earning respect, and still not getting meaningful reps, that disconnect doesn't go unnoticed. This is how locker rooms fracture. It starts slow. A few players question the direction. A few wonder if decisions are really about winning or just maintaining order. And when they start whispering about it, when those whispers turn into silence during film sessions or side eyes on the sideline, you're no longer leading. You're just occupying a role. Kevin Stefanski isn't leading anymore. He's defending, scrambling, tightening his grip on a structure that's already collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. And Jimmy Haslam saw it. That's why his response was so swift, so aggressive, because it wasn't just about Sanders. It was about a coach openly defying logic and threatening the long-term outlook of the franchise. Haslam stepped in and made it plain. Sanders isn't going anywhere. Not now. Not later. He's not a bargaining chip. He's the investment. The future. Period. That wasn't suggestion. That was a statement. A shot across the bow. And Stefanski felt it. That move flipped the power dynamic in Cleveland on its head. The owner didn't just override a coach's personnel decision. He made it public. He let the world know there's a divide at the top. That should never happen unless there's complete dysfunction behind the scenes. And now, every decision Stefanski makes is under a microscope. Every offensive drive, every third down call, every time Gabriel or Flacco comes out cold, misses a read, or underthrows a wide-open receiver, it fuels a narrative. Why is Shedeur Sanders still on the bench? Because this isn't about readiness anymore. It's about accountability. And the only person not being held to the standard is the head coach. Haslam's move wasn't just an endorsement of Sanders. It was a warning. The clock's ticking, not just on the season, but on Stefanski's entire tenure. And if he keeps resisting change, that clock's going to hit zero faster than he thinks. And here's the twist. Even if Stefanski does finally cave and start Sanders, it might already be too late for his own reputation. Because if Sanders plays and thrives, everyone will know Stefanski was the one standing in the way, that he nearly traded away the franchise quarterback to protect a system that's clearly outdated, that he let ego outweigh evidence. That kind of stain doesn't wash off. And if Sanders comes in and struggles, that's not a win either, because the questions won't stop. Why was he benched for so long? Why didn't he get reps earlier? Why was development delayed for veterans with no upside? It's a lose-lose, and it's entirely self-inflicted. The wildest part? Sanders hasn't done a single thing wrong. He's handled this circus with nothing but professionalism. No outbursts, no subtweets, no cryptic interviews. Just preparation and patience. The kind of demeanor you want in a starting quarterback. The kind of demeanor that should make it easier, not harder, to hand him the reins. And yet, he waits, while the franchise spins around him, while the coaching staff stalls, while the locker room fractures and fans grow louder. Cleveland is at a fork in the road. One direction leads to more of the same. Stubborn leadership, short-term thinking, protecting power over embracing progress. The other direction? It's uncertain, unscripted, but it's led by potential, not fear. The Browns need to make that choice. Fast. Because if they don't, they risk something far bigger than just a few bad games. They risk losing the trust of the fans, the trust of the players. And once that's gone, it doesn't come back. Right now, every second Sanders isn't on the field feels like a missed opportunity. A delay that could cost the team more than just wins. It could cost them their identity. The chance to be known for something other than dysfunction. But here's the thing. There's still time. There's still a moment left for Stefanski to get it right, to change course, to recognize that leadership isn't about being right. It's about making the right decision. And right now, that decision is obvious to everyone but him. Play Shedeur Sanders. Not because the media is calling for it. Not because Haslam's breathing down your neck. but because it's the best thing for the team. Because he gives the Browns the best shot to win, not just today, but for the next 5 years. He's earned it. He's ready. And the longer you wait, the more obvious your fear becomes. It's hard to overstate what's happening in Cleveland right now. We're not talking about a few bad losses or a rough QB rotation. This isn't your standard NFL growing pains. What we're witnessing is an organization stuck in a full-blown identity crisis, with a head coach doubling down on stubborn decisions while ownership, fans, analysts, and increasingly the locker room are demanding a shift. All of it centers around one name, Shedeur Sanders. And make no mistake, this is no longer just a quarterback dilemma. This is a power struggle that's ripped the mask off the Browns' internal dysfunction. It's exposing everything, from coaching egos to the franchise's outdated commitment to control over creativity. Let's not forget how we got here. Shedeur Sanders didn't come in riding a wave of hype alone. He came in with real production, real ability, and real promise. Elite accuracy, strong leadership, and something Cleveland hasn't had in forever. Calm, consistent, composed quarterback play. The stuff you build around. Everyone saw it. Except, apparently, the one man who mattered most, Kevin Stefanski. From the start, Stefanski was reluctant, publicly, repeatedly. Instead of encouraging competition or praising Sanders' potential, he compared him negatively to Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco. As if anyone in 2025 wants to hear that a veteran with limited upside is the safer option, while your best asset warms the bench. Then came the whispers, rumors of Sanders being shopped around, floated in trade discussions, treated like a problem instead of a solution. That's not a football decision. That's a power play. And Jimmy Haslam called it for exactly what it was. Haslam didn't stay quiet. He didn't let it play out. He put a hard stop to the trade talk, publicly backed Sanders, and made it clear this quarterback is staying, and not as a developmental piece or an emergency option, as the future. That move? That was ownership saying, enough of the politics, enough of the ego, enough of letting yesterday's decisions dictate tomorrow's ceiling. And with that one public stance, Haslam lit the fuse under everything Stefanski has built, because now the coach is trapped, stuck between a system he won't evolve and a quarterback he can't ignore. His hand has been forced, but instead of adapting, he's clinging harder than ever to the status quo. And that refusal is tearing the organization apart from the inside. You think the locker room isn't talking? They are. Quietly, carefully, but the murmurs are growing. Players know who's earning it at practice. They know who's making throws in drills, who's responding to coaching, who's stepping up in the film room. And when the guy doing all those things still can't see the field, morale dips, trust fades, and division sets in. You cannot build a winning culture on silence and second-guessing. This team is fractured. Some players are backing Sanders behind closed doors. Others are sitting on their hands, trying to stay neutral in a battle they never signed up for. And meanwhile, the one person capable of pulling it all back together, Stefanski, is still pretending this is just a depth chart issue. It's not. It's a leadership failure. And the fact that Sanders has handled all of this without making a scene, that's a testament to the kind of player he is. No leaks, no interviews throwing shade, no drama, just quiet professionalism and focus. That's what makes this so maddening. Stefanski isn't dealing with a flashy diva or a disruptive rookie. He's dealing with a quarterback who's done everything right and still been treated like a threat. Because at the end of the day, that's what Sanders represents to him, a threat, not to the team, not to the locker room, but to him, to his hierarchy, to the control he's used to having, to a playbook he doesn't want rewritten. That's why this hasn't been a football decision from the start. It's been an ego protection plan dressed up as strategic development. And it's not working. The media sees through it. The fans see through it. The players see through it. And now, thanks to Haslam, the whole league sees through it. And what's Stefanski's response? Silence. Defensiveness. More of the same. He's boxed himself in. Because now, even if he finally caves and starts Sanders, he's still going to be questioned relentlessly. Why now? Why not sooner? Why did it take a public scolding from ownership and a fan revolt to do what should have been obvious weeks ago. And worse, what happens if Shedeur thrives? Then Stefanski doesn't get credit. He gets blame for stalling, for obstructing, for nearly derailing the best quarterback the Browns have had in a decade just to preserve his system. That's the risk when you ignore momentum. You end up looking like the one person holding everyone else back. And here's where it gets brutal. Even if Sanders doesn't light it up right away, Stefanski still loses, because it proves he wasted valuable time, wasted development, delayed the growth of the most important player on the roster for no good reason. There's no win left on the board for him, and there shouldn't be, because leadership is about more than being right. It's about recognizing when your job is to serve the talent, not smother it. Shedeur Sanders didn't ask to be the center of this controversy, but his presence, his poise, his sheer readiness has made him impossible to ignore. He's everything the Browns claim to want. And yet, here we are, still waiting, still explaining away the inexplicable. This team has a choice. Right now, they can either let pride and politics drag them down again, or they can pivot, embrace the obvious, admit mistakes, and let the future start. But that means facing some hard truths. It means Stefanski has to stop playing not to lose and start leading like he actually wants to win. It means acknowledging that Shedeur Sanders isn't the problem. He's the answer. And most of all, it means understanding that every day this goes unresolved is another crack in the foundation of a team that should be building something real. There is no more time for excuses. This is not about comfort. It's about credibility. The longer they stall, the more fans check out. The more players start thinking about next year. The more this season becomes another missed opportunity. The moment is now. Play Shedeur Sanders. And not in garbage time. Not as a backup plan. As the guy. Let him lead. Let him grow. Let him make the mistakes on the field. Not in the press conferences you keep avoiding. Because what's happening right now, that's a slow collapse in real time. And everyone's watching. So tell us what you think. Is Stefanski done if this keeps going? Should Haslam pull the plug if Sanders stays benched? And how much longer can this franchise pretend they don't see what's right in front of them? Drop your take in the comments. Like this if you're done with excuses. Share it if you think Shedeur's time should have already started. And subscribe, because we're not letting up until Browns get it right. And if they don't, you already know, we'll be right here when it all comes down.